If you don't give me half, I'll file for divorce. I won the lottery and my husband said this. Jessica clutched the black briefcase with trembling hands as Michael shouted from across the room in their small house in Pittsburgh. The $2 million prize had changed everything in minutes, turning the man who had promised to love her in poverty into someone she no longer recognized. It was when she checked the numbers for the third time that he appeared in the kitchen doorway, coming from the backyard where he'd been fixing the fence. Jessica had bought the winning ticket at Old Frank's lottery store the previous Tuesday, using the last $50 she'd saved from that month's grocery shopping. "Michael, I won!" she yelled, still in disbelief. "Won what?" he asked, dropping his tools on the floor. "The lottery! $2 million, Michael! $2 million!" The silence that followed was deafening. Michael stood frozen, processing the news, while Jessica danced around the tiny kitchen. When reality finally hit him, his eyes changed completely. "Let me see that ticket," he said, holding out his hand. Jessica handed him the crumpled paper, still glowing with happiness. Michael checked each number, comparing it to the results on his phone. When he finished, he looked up at her with an expression that made her blood run cold. "Half of it's mine," he said simply. "What do you mean, half yours?" Jessica laughed, thinking he was joking. "We've been married for 7 years, Jessica. What's yours is mine too. If you don't give me half, I'll file for divorce right now." The words hit her like a bucket of ice water. Jessica stopped smiling and stared at the man she'd shared her life with since she was 23. "You're joking, right? I'm dead serious, 50% or I'm leaving today." "Michael, the money is ours. Why are you talking like this?" "Because I know you'll waste it. You'll want to help your sick mom, your unemployed sister. You'll hand out money to everyone and then we'll have nothing left." Jessica's chest tightened. She had indeed thought about helping her mother, who'd been battling heart problems for 2 years, and her sister Amanda had been out of work since the store she worked at closed. "What's wrong with helping my family?" "The problem is you don't think about our family first," Michael pointed at himself. "I'm the one breaking my back at the auto shop, coming home covered in grease, and you want to give our money away." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us newcomers. Now, back to the story. "Our money," Jessica repeated, anger rising in her chest. "Michael, I bought this ticket with money I saved from cleaning Mrs. Barbara's house. You didn't even know I had it." "Oh, so now you're hiding things from me?" He stepped closer, jabbing a finger at her. 7 years of marriage and you're buying lottery tickets behind my back?" "I wasn't hiding anything. I used $20 left from grocery shopping and $30 I earned helping the neighbor move. Money I made. Money you made while I supported this house." Michael thumped his chest. "Who pays the electricity, the water, the food?" Jessica knew he was right about that. Michael did work hard at his brother-in-law's auto shop and paid most of the bills. She chipped in when she got odd jobs, but his income was the main one. "Okay, Michael, let's sit down and talk about this calmly." She tried to diffuse the situation. "There's nothing to talk about. Either you give me half, or I pack my things and leave today." "Why are you being so cruel?" Jessica's eyes welled up. "Cruel? Cruel is you trying to cheat me. You think I'm stupid? Do you think I don't know you're already planning to give money to your family?" Michael wasn't wrong. Jessica had really thought about paying off her mother's house loan as soon as she got the prize. Mrs. Margaret was always worried about the late payments, and now Jessica could fix that. "What if I give half to you? What will you do?" "I'll invest it. Buy some new machines for the auto shop, maybe start my own business. A man's thing, not just handing out handouts to others." "Helping family isn't handing out handouts, Michael." "To me it is. Your mum's always been a spender. Your sister never could hold down a job. Why should I pay for their mistakes?" Jessica felt like she didn't know the man in front of her. In 7 years of marriage, she'd never heard Michael talk like this about her family. He'd always been polite to Mrs. Margaret and Amanda, even when they needed help. "Since when do you feel this way about my family?" "Always. I just never said anything because I didn't want to fight with you. But now that we're talking serious money, things have changed." The sound of the door opening interrupted the argument. It was Amanda, Jessica's sister, who'd arrived for lunch like she did every Sunday. "Hi, guys." "Wow. What's with the faces? Amanda noticed the tension in the air. Jessica looked at Michael, unsure if she should say anything. He crossed his arms and gave her a look like he was waiting to see what she'd do. Amanda, sit down. Something happened. Jessica took a deep breath. What? Did you two fight? I won the lottery. Amanda's eyes widened, and she let out a scream. She jumped from her chair and hugged her sister, both of them crying with joy. Michael stayed still, watching the scene with a closed expression. How much? How much did you win? Amanda asked, still in shock. 2 million. Oh my God! Oh my God! Amanda shouted again. Jess, you won't have to clean houses anymore. Mom can get that private surgery. I can go back to school. Calm down, Amanda. Jessica glanced sideways at Michael. It's not that simple. Why not? With 2 million you can do all that and still have plenty left. It's just that Michael thinks half is his. Amanda looked at her brother-in-law, confused. Of course it's his too. You're married, right? I'm not talking about splitting it as a couple, Michael spoke up. I'm talking about her giving me half the money so I can invest it how I want. Oh, Amanda understood the difference. But Jess, aren't you two going to talk about what to do with the money together? Apparently not, Jessica sighed. He said if I don't give him half, he'll file for divorce. Amanda was silent for a few seconds, processing the information. Michael, are you serious? I am. 7 years married to your sister, paying the bills for this house, and now that there's a chance to change our lives, she wants to play charity with everyone. What charity, Michael? Amanda raised her voice. She's talking about helping family. That's normal. Normal for you who never knew how to handle money, right? The words hit Amanda like a slap. Jessica saw her sister pale and knew they'd crossed a dangerous line. I'm sorry, Amanda. He didn't mean that. Jessica tried to soften it. Yes, I did, Michael insisted. It's the truth. Your family only knows how to ask for help, never how to help anyone. Michael, stop! Jessica raised her voice. No, I won't. How many times has your mum come here asking to borrow money? And your sister? Always some emergency, always needing something. Amanda stood up, her eyes full of tears. You're right, Michael. We've always been poor, but we've never been dishonest. And we've never treated family the way you're treating your own wife right now. I'm not treating anyone badly. I'm being realistic. Realistic? Amanda laughed bitterly. You're blackmailing your wife on the happiest day of her life. Amanda, leave. Michael pointed to the door. This conversation isn't yours. How isn't it mine? You're talking about my family. Exactly. Your family. Not mine. Jessica felt her heart break. In one sentence, Michael had made it clear that after 7 years, he still didn't consider her family as his own. Michael, I need you to leave so I can think, Jessica said, her voice trembling. Think about what? It's simple. Half for me or divorce. Then leave so I can think about whether I even want to stay married to you. The silence that followed was tense. Michael hadn't expected that response. He thought the threat of divorce would be enough to make Jessica give in. Are you serious? I am. Get out of my house. Come back tonight and we'll talk. Our house, he corrected. No, Michael. My house. The deed is in my name because back then your credit was ruined and you couldn't get financing. Michael turned red. It was true. The house was in Jessica's name because when they got married, he had some debts that blocked the loan. Fine, he grumbled. But I'll be back at 6 and I want an answer. You'll get one. Michael grabbed his motorcycle keys and left, slamming the door. Amanda moved closer to her sister and hugged her. Jess, what kind of man did you marry? I don't know, Amanda. I really don't know anymore. The two sat on the small living room couch. Jessica still held the winning lottery ticket, but now it felt more like a burden than a joy. Jess, tell me something. Have you two been fighting a lot lately? No more than usual. He's always been a bit controlling with money, but never like this. Controlling how? Jessica hesitated. It was hard to admit, even to herself, how some things in their marriage weren't right. He always questioned everything I bought. If I came home with new clothes, he'd ask where I got the money. If I bought something for Mom or you, he'd sulk for days. Jess, that's not normal. I know. But he always justified it by saying he was worried about our future, that we needed to save. Save for what? You two never do anything together. When was the last time you traveled, Jessica thought. The last trip they'd taken together was to Michael's cousin's wedding in Allentown 2 years ago, and even then, she'd had to push hard for him to agree. It's been a while, she admitted. Jess, are you happy with him? The question caught Jessica off guard. No one had ever asked her that directly. Not even she had questioned it in recent years. I think so. I mean, we get along most of the time. Getting along isn't the same as being happy. Amanda, what do you want me to do? 7 years of marriage isn't nothing. 7 years of marriage also isn't a reason to put up with anything. Jessica knew her sister was right, but it was hard to admit that maybe she wasn't as happy as she thought. Let's get some lunch. Then I'll figure out what to do. They went to the kitchen, but neither was hungry. Amanda made coffee, and they sat at the small table Jessica had bought used the year before. Jess, can I ask you something? Of course. Aren't you afraid of him? Afraid? Jessica looked up from her coffee. Afraid of what? Of what he might do if you don't give him the money. Michael's never been violent with me, Amanda. I'm not talking about physical violence. I mean other things. Jessica understood. Michael did have a temper when things didn't go his way. He could go days without speaking to her or make cutting remarks that hurt more than shouting. He might sulk, but it passes. Jess, listen to me. You won the lottery today. It should have been the happiest day of her life. Look at the face you're making. Jessica looked at her reflection in the kitchen window. She really did have a sad, worried expression. It's just a lot to process all at once. No, Jess. It's because you're scared of his reaction. And that's not normal. Before Jessica could respond, her phone rang. It was an unknown number. Hello? Jessica Wilson? Yes, speaking. This is Wells Fargo calling. We're reaching out to confirm a withdrawal of $50,000 made from your account this morning. Jessica felt her heart race. What withdrawal? I didn't make any withdrawal today. The withdrawal was made at 10:15 a.m. at the downtown branch. But I wasn't at the bank today. I've been home all morning. Ma'am, the withdrawal was made with your card and PIN. I'll need you to come to the branch so we can review the security footage. Jessica hung up in a panic. Amanda noticed something was wrong. What happened? Someone withdrew $50,000 from my account this morning. What? Who has your PIN? Jessica fell silent. Only she and Michael knew the account PIN. Amanda, what time did Michael leave for the auto shop today? I don't know, I just got here. Why? He said he was in the backyard when I yelled that I'd won the lottery, but the backyard is in the back. He wouldn't have heard me from there. Jess, are you thinking that... I'm thinking he already knew about the prize before I told him. The two fell silent, processing the possibility. But how would he know? I don't know. But he reacted way too fast. It was like he was already prepared for that conversation. Jessica got up and went to the bedroom she shared with Michael. She opened his nightstand drawer, searching for anything that might explain the situation. At the bottom of the drawer, under some old papers, she found a printout of her own bank statement from the week before. Amanda, come here. Her sister rushed into the room. Look at this. Jessica showed her the statement. Why would he have a copy of my bank statement? Jess, is he monitoring your finances? Seems like it. And look, there's a note here in the margin. Written by hand on the edge of the statement was, "Check Lottery Tuesday." Oh my God, Jess, he knew you'd bought the ticket. And he went to the bank before telling me he knew about the prize. Jessica's legs felt weak. She sat on the bed, trying to make sense of it all. Amanda, he lied to me. Pretended to be surprised, but he already knew everything. Worse, he withdrew $50,000 before even talking to you about the money. I need to go to the bank now. I'll go with you. They left the house and went to the Wells Fargo branch in downtown Pittsburgh. The manager greeted them and showed them the security footage. It was Michael, clearly visible, using Jessica's card and entering the PIN. "Is this your husband?" the manager asked. "Yes." "Then technically it's not a crime since you're married, but I can block the card if you'd like." "Yes, please, and I want to know if it's possible to reverse the withdrawal." "Let me check." While the manager checked the options, Jessica and Amanda sat in the bank's waiting area. "Jess, you need to end this marriage." "Amanda, it's not that simple." "How is it not simple? The man stole money from your account." "Technically, it's not theft because we're married." "Jess, listen to yourself. You're defending a man who took your money without permission and then pretended he knew nothing." Jessica knew her sister was right, but 7 years of a relationship don't just disappear. "What if I'm overreacting? What if he took the money for some emergency?" "What emergency, Jess? And why wouldn't he tell you?" "I don't know." "Yes, you do. He took the money because he thought he was entitled to it. And now he's demanding half the price too." The manager returned with the information. "Mrs. Jessica, we were able to reverse the withdrawal, but it will take a few business days. We've also blocked your card and will issue a new one." "Thank you. There's one more thing. Your husband tried to make another withdrawal today, shortly after the first one, but there was no available credit left." Jessica felt sick. Michael had tried to withdraw more money. "How much did he try to take?" $100,000. Amanda held her sister's trembling hand. "Thank you," Jessica said to the manager. "I'll need time to sort this out." They left the bank in silence. On the sidewalk, Jessica stopped and leaned against the wall. "Amanda, I feel so stupid." "You're not stupid, Jess. You trusted him. That's different." "How didn't I notice he was controlling me like this?" "Because these things happen slowly. A little here, a little there, until it becomes normal." Jessica thought about the last few years of their marriage. It was true, Michael had become more and more controlling. It started with questions about small expenses, then checking statements, until he eventually took money from her account without warning. "What am I going to do now?" "First, let's go home, then you can decide whether or not to talk to him when he gets back." They walked home quietly. Jessica felt confused and betrayed. The day that should have been the happiest of her life was turning into a nightmare. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. At home, Jessica sat on the couch with the winning ticket in her hands. Amanda made another coffee and sat beside her sister. "Jess, can I tell you something?" "Of course." "I never really liked Michael." Jessica looked at her sister in surprise. "Why? You never told me that." "Because you seemed happy at first. And later, when I started noticing you were changing, I didn't think it was my place to interfere." "What do you mean, changing?" "Jess, do you remember what you were like before marrying him?" Jessica thought about it. Before marriage, she had been more spontaneous, went out more with friends and had plans and dreams. "You always wanted to get a degree in education," Amanda continued. "You said you'd save up and take the course. What happened to that?" "Life happened. I got married, had other priorities." "Or Michael convinced you it was silly to spend money on college." It was true. Every time Jessica mentioned going back to school, Michael discouraged her, saying it was a waste of money. "You also always wanted kids," Amanda said carefully. "I still do." "Jess, you've been married for 7 years and never even tried." "Michael thinks it's not the right time yet." "And when will it be? You're already 30. Jessica had never stopped to think about it. Whenever she brought up having children, Michael changed the subject or said they needed to stabilize their finances first. "Jess, what about your friends? When was the last time you went out with them?" Jessica tried to remember. She'd lost touch with almost all her friends after getting married. "Michael always had some reason for me not to go. He said it was unnecessary spending or that he'd planned something for us to do." "Jess, do you realize what you're telling me?" Jessica did. Michael had slowly isolated her from her social life, discouraged her dreams, and controlled her finances. "Amanda, how did I let this happen?" "It's not your fault. He did it little by little, always with excuses that seemed to make sense. The sound of Michael's motorcycle pulling up made them both tense. It was 5:30 in the afternoon, half an hour earlier than he'd said. "Do you want me to stay?" Amanda asked. "Yes, I do." Michael walked into the house with a calmer expression than when he left. "Hi," he said, as if nothing had happened. "Hi," Jessica replied coldly. "So, have you thought about what we talked about?" "I have." "And?" "Before I answer, I want you to explain something to me." Michael sat in the armchair trying to appear carefree. "What? Why did you withdraw $50,000 from my account this morning?" Michael's expression changed completely. He turned pale and stayed silent for a few seconds. "How did you find out?" "The bank called to confirm, and I saw the security footage." "Jess, I can explain." "Then explain." I got nervous. When you told me you'd won, I thought you'd want to give money to everyone, and there'd be nothing left for us. So you decided to secure your share before even talking to me? It wasn't like that." "It was exactly like that, Michael, and you even tried to withdraw another 100,000. Michael realized he'd been completely caught. "Fine, it's true, but it was to protect our future." "Our future?" Jessica stood up. "Michael, you stole money from my account." "I didn't steal. We're married. What's yours is mine." "Then why didn't you tell me you were going to withdraw it?" "Because I knew you'd make a scene like you're doing now." Amanda, who had stayed quiet until then, spoke up. "Michael, don't you think you're being unfair to her?" "Amanda, this isn't your conversation." "Yes, it is. She's my sister, and you're treating her badly." "I'm not treating anyone badly. I'm trying to protect what's ours." "Protect it from who?" Jessica asked. "From yourself. You're too kind, Jess. Everyone takes advantage of you." "Everyone who?" "Your family, your friends, even that neighbor down the street. Everyone's always asking you for something." Jessica realized Michael was trying to manipulate the conversation, making her feel guilty for being generous. "Michael, answer me one thing. How did you know I'd bought a lottery ticket?" "What do you mean?" "I found a bank statement in your drawer with a note about checking the lottery on Tuesday." Michael stayed silent for a few seconds. "I always keep track of our expenses." "Keep track or control? What's the difference?" "The difference is I never asked you to keep track of my spending, and I never knew you were doing it." "Jess, someone has to manage the household finances." "But why did it have to be hidden? Why didn't you talk to me about it?" "Because you don't understand money." The word stung. Jessica had always been careful with money, precisely because she'd never had much. "How don't I understand money? You spend it on silly things, clothes, makeup, gifts for others." "Michael, when was the last time I bought clothes?" He had no answer. The truth was Jessica hadn't bought new clothes in over a year. "And makeup. I've been using the same lipstick for 2 years." "Fine, maybe I exaggerated. But the point is we now have a chance to change our lives and you can't waste it." "Waste it how?" "By giving money to others." "Michael, I want to help my mum with her mortgage and maybe pay for a course for Amanda. That's not wasting." "Yes, it is. Your mum can deal with her own debts. And your sister should get a job instead of dreaming about courses." Amanda stood up, visibly offended. "Michael, I look for a job every day. And I'm not dreaming about a course. I'm trying to qualify for better opportunities." "Amanda, how old are you?" 28. 28 and you've never held a stable job. Don't you think the problem might be you?" Jessica saw her sister turn red with anger and shame. "Michael, enough," she yelled. "Stop attacking my family." "I'm not attacking anyone. I'm telling the truth." "The truth according to who? According to you?" "According to anyone with common sense." "You know what?" Jessica took a deep breath. "I've made up my mind." "Made up your mind about what?" "I'm not giving you half the money." Michael fell silent for a few seconds, as if he couldn't believe what he was hearing. "Say that again." "I'm not giving you half the money." "So you've chosen." "Tomorrow I'll file for divorce." "You don't have to, I'll file it myself." Now it was Michael's turn to be surprised. He didn't expect Jessica to take the initiative. "You won't do that." "Yes, I will." "Jess, you're being emotional. Let's talk about this when you've calmed down." I am calm, Michael. For the first time in a long while, I'm seeing things clearly. And what are you seeing? That you don't love me. You love what I can do for you. That's ridiculous. Oh, really? Then tell me, when was the last time you asked how I was feeling? When was the last time you showed interest in my dreams? Michael had no answer. When was the last time you complimented me for something other than cooking or cleaning the house? Silence again. Michael, you've treated me like a maid for years, and I let it happen because I thought that's just how marriage worked. Jess, you're exaggerating. Am I? Then explain to me why you never wanted to have kids with me. I already told you. It wasn't the right time. And when would it have been the right time? When you decided, without even consulting me? Jess, these decisions should be made together. Were they made together? Or did you just decide you didn't want them? End of story. Michael was clearly uncomfortable with where the conversation was heading. Jess, look what you're doing. You're throwing away 7 years of marriage over money. No, Michael. I'm realizing our marriage has been over for a long time. The money just made it obvious. You'll regret this. Maybe. But at least I'll regret it as a free woman. Michael stood up from the armchair, clearly angry. Fine. If that's what you want, that's what you'll get. But don't come crying later when you find out how hard it is to live alone. I'd rather find that out than keep living with someone who doesn't respect me. Jess, last chance. Are you sure about this? I am. Michael went to the bedroom and came back with a packed suitcase. Jessica realized he'd already prepared for this possibility. You were expecting this, she said. Let's just say I know you better than you think. Apparently not. Otherwise, you'd know I'd never accept blackmail. Michael stopped at the door and turned to her one last time. Jess, you'll see, without me, you're nothing. Michael, up until now, with me, you were the one who was nothing. He left, slamming the door. Jessica sat on the couch and for the first time since winning the lottery, smiled. Amanda walked over and hugged her sister. Jess, how are you feeling? Relieved. Really? Really? I didn't realize how suffocated I was. And now? Now, I'm going to live my life the way I want. They stayed embraced for a few minutes in silence. Jessica felt as if a huge weight had been lifted off her shoulders. Amanda, tomorrow I want you to come with me somewhere. Where? To college. I'm going to see how to enroll in the education program. Amanda smiled. Jess, are you sure? Absolutely. I've always wanted to be a teacher. Now I can. What about Mom? I'll pay off her house loan and I'll pay for a vocational course for you too if you want. Jess, you don't have to. Yes, I do. Family helps each other. And anyone who doesn't understand that doesn't deserve to be part of ours. That night, Jessica slept alone for the first time in 7 years, and she slept better than she had in a long time. The next morning, she woke up early and went to old Frank's lottery store to arrange the prize claim. Jessica, old Frank called out when he saw her walk in. I heard you won the Powerball. I did, old Frank, and it's all thanks to you for selling me the lucky ticket. Oh, honey, what joy. And Michael, he must be over the moon. Michael and I split up yesterday. Old Frank looked surprised. Split up? Right now? It was because of the prize that I found out who he really was. Ah, I see. Money's like whiskey. It shows people's true colors. That's right. After sorting out the prize paperwork, Jessica went with Amanda to her mother's house to share the news. Mrs. Margaret was watering the plants in the backyard when her daughters arrived. What a surprise, both of you here so early. Mom, sit down, I've got some news for you. Mrs. Margaret sat on the plastic chair on the back porch. What is it? By the look on your faces, it's something good. Mom, I won the lottery. What do you mean won? How much? 2 million. Mrs. Margaret fell silent for a few seconds, then began to cry. My child, what a blessing. And there's more, Mom. I left Michael. You left him? Why? Jessica told her mother the whole story, who listened quietly. My dear, I'm so sorry. I always thought you two got along. We got along because I put up with everything he did. But that's not really getting along. And now I'm going to live my life. And the first thing I'll do is pay off the mortgage on your house. Jess, you don't have to. Yes, I do, Mom. You've suffered enough in life. Now it's time for you to rest. Mrs. Margaret cried again, this time with relief. And I'll also pay for that private surgery the doctor said you needed. My dear, I don't even know how to thank you. No need to thank me, Mom. You took care of me and Amanda all by yourself for years. Now it's my turn to take care of you. The three of them hugged in the backyard, crying with emotion. In the days that followed, Jessica organized her new life. She hired a lawyer to handle the divorce, enrolled in college for education, and started making plans for the future. Michael tried reaching out a few times, first trying to convince her to come back, then threatening to sue for the money. But Jessica's lawyer explained that since the ticket was bought before the separation, and with money she could prove was solely hers, he had no claim to it. A month later, Jessica was in her first week of college classes when she got a call. "Jess, it's Michael." "Hi, Michael. Can I talk to you?" "You can, but make it quick." "I wanted to apologize." Jessica was surprised. In 7 years of marriage, she'd never heard Michael apologize for anything. Apologize for what? For everything. For how I treated you. For the things I said about your family. For taking your money without telling you. All right. I accept your apology. Jess, do you think we could try again? No, Michael. Why? I've changed. In a month? A lot can happen in a month. That's true. It really can. I found out I'm stronger than I thought, that I can live on my own, that I can chase my dreams. A lot has happened in a month. Jess, I love you. Michael, you might love the idea you have of me, but you never loved who I really am. That's not true. Yes, it is. You loved the Jess who cooked for you, who cleaned the house, who never questioned your decisions. But you never showed interest in the Jess who has dreams, opinions, and her own will. I can change that. Maybe you can, but not with me. Jess, please, give me one more chance. Michael, I wish you all the best, truly, but our marriage is over. Is it because of the money? No, Michael. The money just gave me the courage to do what I should have done a long time ago. After hanging up the phone, Jessica felt truly free. There was nothing left tying her to the past. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. 6 months later, Jessica was thriving. She had invested part of the money in a small early childhood school, which had always been her dream. Amanda had landed a job at a marketing company after completing a vocational course. Mrs. Margaret had her surgery and made a full recovery. One afternoon, Jessica was leaving college when she ran into an old co-worker. Jess, what a surprise, how are you? Hi, Paula, I'm great, and you? Good too. Girl, I heard you split up with Michael. That's true. And I also heard you won the lottery. Lucky you, huh? It was lucky, but not because of the money. Not because of the money? Because it helped me realize I deserved better. I see. And how's he handling it? I don't know. We're not in touch anymore. Oh, I get it. And you? Seeing anyone? Not right now. I'm focused on getting to know myself better. That's great. You look amazing, by the way. Happier. It's because I really am happy. Jessica said goodbye to her old co-worker and kept walking. It was true. She was happy. For the first time in years, she felt like she was living her own life. That same week, she got an unexpected call. Jessica Wilson? Yes, speaking. This is Lincoln Elementary School. We noticed you're studying education and wanted to discuss a job opportunity. What kind of opportunity? We need a part-time teacher's assistant. It'd be great experience while you finish your degree. Jessica smiled. Everything was falling into place. I'm interested. Can we set up a meeting? Of course. How about tomorrow at 2 in the afternoon? Perfect. The next day, Jessica went to the school and immediately fell in love with the environment. The children were sweet and she felt completely at home there. Jessica, do you have experience with kids? The principal asked. Not professionally, but working in early childhood education has always been my dream. And why did you decide to pursue that dream only now? Jessica thought about her answer. because only now did I have the courage to prioritize my happiness. The principal smiled. I like that answer. When can you start? Whenever you need me. How about next Monday? Perfect. Jessica left the school beaming. She was finally on the right path. A few months later, on a Saturday afternoon, she was grocery shopping when she bumped into someone familiar in the cleaning supplies aisle. It was Michael. Jess, he said, clearly awkward. Hi, Michael, she replied naturally. How are you? Good, thanks. And you? I'm managing. Jessica noticed he looked tired and thinner. That's good. Jess, can I tell you something? Of course. You were right. Right about what? About everything. About how I treated you, about not really knowing you, about not respecting you. Michael, let me finish. After you left my life, I realized I truly didn't know who you were. Or rather, I did, but I chose to ignore it. Jessica listened quietly. I went to therapy. I learned I was controlling and possessive, and that had nothing to do with love. I'm glad you realized that. Jess, I'm not asking you to come back. I know that won't happen. I just wanted you to know you taught me an important lesson. What lesson? True love is wanting someone's happiness, even if it's without you. Jessica was surprised by the maturity of his words. Thank you for saying that, Michael. And I also want you to know that I'm happy for you. I heard you're living your dreams. I really am. And you deserve it. You always did. They fell silent for a few seconds. Michael, I wish you happiness too. Truly. Thanks, Jess. They said goodbye with a wave and each went their own way. Jessica felt good about the encounter. Michael seemed truly changed, and she was glad he was in therapy. 2 years later, Jessica had graduated with a degree in education and was working as a lead teacher at Lincoln Elementary School. She had bought her own house in a quiet neighborhood and was engaged to Andrew, a college classmate she'd met in her final year. Andrew was completely different from Michael. He encouraged her dreams, respected her opinions, and always asked how she was feeling. They'd met in an educational psychology class, and the connection was instant. Jess, are you sure you want to marry me? Andrew teased one afternoon while they were planning the wedding. Why are you asking that? Because you won the lottery. You could have any man you wanted. Jessica laughed. Andrew, I didn't choose you because I won the lottery. I chose you because you make me happy. How so? You respect me, you listen to me, you encourage me. You love me for who I really am, not who you wish I was. Of course I do, you're amazing. See? That's the difference. My ex-husband spent all his time trying to change me. You love me just as I am. And I always will. Jessica and Andrew's wedding was simple but moving. Mrs. Margaret cried through the entire ceremony, overjoyed to see her daughter truly happy. Amanda was the maid of honor and was dating a guy she'd met in her marketing course. During the reception, Jessica looked around and saw all the people she loved gathered together. Her college friends, co-workers from the school, the neighbors who had supported her during the divorce, her family. What are you thinking about? Andrew asked, hugging her from behind. I'm thinking that if I hadn't won the lottery, I might still be stuck in a life that didn't make me happy. Do you really think the money changed everything? Not the money itself, but how people reacted to it. That showed me who truly cared about me. And now? Now I know I made the right choices. All of them? Especially choosing you. Andrew kissed her, and they danced to the last song of the night. Later, when the guests had left, Jessica sat on the porch of their new home with Amanda and Mrs. Margaret. Jess, can I ask you something? Mrs. Margaret said. Of course, Mom. Do you regret anything? Like what? Divorcing Michael. After all, you were together 7 years. Jessica thought about her answer. Mom, I don't regret anything. Not marrying Michael and not leaving him. Why? Because it all led me here. If I hadn't gone through that, maybe I wouldn't appreciate what I have now. That makes sense. And besides, I don't hold any grudges against Michael. He taught me what I don't want in a relationship. That was important too. Amanda, who had been quiet during the conversation, spoke up. Jess, what would you say to a woman going through the same thing you did? That she shouldn't be afraid to start over, that it's never too late to be happy, and that we deserve real love, not just scraps of affection. What if she's afraid of being alone? I'd say it's better to be alone and at peace than with someone and miserable. And when we truly love ourselves, we attract people who truly love us too. The three of them sat in silence, gazing at the stars. Amanda, what about you? How are things with Jason? Jessica asked. Good. He's very different from the other guys I've dated. How so? He treats me as an equal. He doesn't try to protect me from myself or control me. He's a real partner. That's great. You deserve that. Jess, I think seeing your example taught me not to accept less than I deserve. We all deserve to be happy, Amanda. Mrs. Margaret got up from her chair. Well, girls, I'm going to bed. Tomorrow, I want to wake up early to bake a cake for Andrew. Mom, you don't have to... Yes, I do. He's my son-in-law now. And a son-in-law who treats my daughter well deserves a cake. After Mrs. Margaret went inside, Jessica and Amanda were left alone on the porch. Amanda, thank you. Thank you for what? For supporting me that day. If you hadn't been there, maybe I would have given in to Michael's blackmail. Jess, you've always been strong. You just needed to remember that. Maybe, but you helped me remember. And you taught me that we can change our lives at any moment. We just need courage. The sisters hugged, grateful to have each other. 5 years after the day she won the lottery, Jessica was in the schoolyard where she worked, playing with the kids during recess when one of the office staff called her. Miss Jessica, there's someone here asking to speak with you. Who is it? They didn't want to say, just mentioned it was about something from the past. Jessica found it odd but went to the office. To her surprise, it was Michael. He looked different, more mature, with a few grey streaks at his temples, but his expression was lighter than she remembered. Hi, Jess. Hi, Michael, what a surprise. Can I talk to you for a few minutes? Of course, let's go to the courtyard. They sat on a bench under a tree. What brings you here? I came to share some news. What news? I'm getting married. Jessica smiled. That's wonderful. Congratulations. Thank you, and I wanted to thank you. Thank me for ending our marriage. Jessica was surprised by his words. What do you mean? Jess, if you hadn't had the courage to leave, I never would have realized my problems. I never would have gone to therapy or learned how to truly love. Michael. Emily, my fiancée, is an amazing woman, and I can love her the right way because I learned from my mistakes. I'm really happy for you. And I wanted you to know that I finally understand what real love is. Tell me, it's wanting someone to be happy, even if it's in a different way than you imagined. It's respecting their choices, their dreams, their family. Jessica was moved by his words. That's exactly it. Jess, I'm sorry for how I treated you. You didn't deserve that. Michael, I forgave you a long time ago. Thank you. And I'm glad you found someone special. She really is special. And you? How's married life? Wonderful. Andrew is an incredible partner. That's good. You deserved a man who valued you. They talked for a while longer about life and future plans. Michael shared that he'd opened his own auto shop and was doing well. Jess, can I ask you something? Of course. Are you happy? Very happy. Even though you have to work. With all the money you won, you could be enjoying life. Jessica laughed. Michael, that's the difference. I don't have to work. I want to work. This school is my dream come true. I see. And you? Are you happy? I am. For the first time in a long time, I'm truly happy. That's great. When Michael left, Jessica returned to the classroom with a light heart. It was good to know he was doing well and had learned from his mistakes. That evening at home, she told Andrew about the encounter. How did you feel seeing him? Good. Happy that he's doing well. Didn't you feel anything else besides that? Gratitude. Gratitude. for him showing me what I didn't want in my life. If it weren't for that, maybe I'd never have realized how special you are." Andrew smiled and kissed her. "Jess, can I tell you something?" "Of course." "I'm also grateful to Michael." "Why?" "Because if you two hadn't broken up, I'd never have met you." "That's true. And you're the best thing that's ever happened to me." "You're the best thing that's happened to me, too." That night, Jessica looked out the bedroom window and thought about everything she'd lived through in the past few years. The lottery money had changed her life, but not in the way she'd expected. It wasn't the money itself that brought happiness. It was the courage the money gave her to make the right choices, the freedom to choose her own life. She'd fulfilled her dream of becoming a teacher, helped her family, found true love, and most importantly, learned to value herself. The $2 million prize was important, but the real prize was discovering she deserved to be happy. A few years later, Jessica and Andrew were at the maternity ward, waiting for their first child to be born. Amanda and Mrs. Margaret were in the waiting room, eager to meet the newest family member. "Jess, are you nervous?" Andrew asked, holding her hand. "A little, but mostly excited to meet our baby." "Boy or girl?" "Either way, I just want them to be healthy." "They will be, and they'll be so loved." "Absolutely." When the baby was born, a beautiful little girl with dark hair just like her mother's, Jessica cried with emotion. "Hi, my princess," she whispered to her daughter. "I'm your mommy." "What should we name her?" Andrew asked. "Hope." "Why?" "Because she represents all the good things in our future." When Amanda and Mrs. Margaret met their granddaughter, the emotion was overwhelming. "Jess, she looks just like you when you were born," Mrs. Margaret said, her eyes filled with tears. "I hope she's braver than I was, Mum." "She will be, because she'll have you as her example." 2 months later, Jessica was nursing Hope when the phone rang. "Jess, it's Amanda." "Hey, sis, what's up?" "Jess, I have some news to share." "Tell me." "Jason proposed to me." "Amanda, that's wonderful. Congratulations." "Thank you, and I want you to be my maid of honor." "Of course I'll do it." "Jess, you know what's funny?" "What?" "He proposed at the same lottery store where you bought the winning ticket. Said he wanted our love to start in a lucky place." Jessica laughed. "How romantic." "And old Frank cried when he found out. Said our family brought him so much joy." "That's true. He's always been so kind to us." "Jess, do you think we deserve all this happiness?" "Of course we do, Amanda. We spent too long thinking we didn't deserve good things, but we do. Sometimes I'm afraid it's too good to be true. Amanda, happiness isn't luck. It's the result of the choices we make." "What choices?" "Valuing yourself, not settling for less than you deserve, having the courage to change when you need to." "You're right. And besides, you're good people. Good people deserve to be happy." After hanging up, Jessica looked down at her daughter, sleeping peacefully in her arms. "Hope, my sweet girl, I promise I'll teach you to value yourself from the very beginning. You'll never accept being treated poorly by anyone." The baby opened her little eyes and smiled, as if she understood her mother's words. "And I'll also teach you that money is important, but it's not the most important thing. The most important thing is having people who truly love you." Andrew came home from work just then and found his wife and daughter talking on the couch. "What are you two talking about?" "About life, love, about how lucky we are." "Lucky indeed." Andrew sat beside Jessica and hugged them both. "Jess, can I confess something to you?" "Of course. Sometimes I wonder what our lives would be like if you hadn't won the lottery." "Why?" "Do you think we would have met anyway?" "I think so. Fate would have found a way." "You believe in fate." "I believe in choices, and I believe that when we make the right choices, good things happen." "And what were the right choices?" "Having the courage to leave a relationship that wasn't good for me. Deciding to chase my dreams. Choosing to love you. I chose to love you too, and it was the best choice of my life." They stayed embraced on the couch, watching Hope as she slept peacefully. 10 years had passed since the day Jessica won the lottery. Her life had changed completely, but not just because of the money. She had learned to value herself, found true love, achieved her professional dreams and built a beautiful family. The money helped, of course. It gave her the security to make brave choices. But the most important thing was her courage to change. That night, before falling asleep, Jessica said a silent prayer of gratitude. Gratitude for the life she had built, for the people she loved, for the opportunities she had been given, and most of all, gratitude for learning that she deserved to be happy. End of story. Now tell me, what did you think of this story of resilience and courage? Where are you watching from? If this story moved you or made you reflect on relationships, leave your honest thoughts in the comments. Do you think Jessica made the right decision? I'd love to hear your opinion. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss other heartwarming stories.